Breaking bloody news coming out of the MKM Stadium. Goodness gracious me. Liam Rosenior has been sacked as manager of Hull City. Goodness gracious me. The news breaking within the last hour or so as Hull miss out on the playoffs. I can't believe it. I can believe it. But I can't believe it because he is one of those managers, young managers, got a big future ahead of him, or he looked like he had a big future ahead of him, and seemed to be in a comfortable spot at Hull City. But maybe he got a little bit too comfortable, especially when you consider the amount of money they spent. They may have not brought in permanent transfers, but they did spend a hefty chunk of change by bringing in a lot of key players. On loan. They spent a big money on loan signings. Now, of course, that includes wages, it includes signing on fees, but he has been removed from his position, of course, ultimately finishing in 7th. That's absolutely shocking. I didn't expect that. I do expect a bit of a manager merry-go-round in the Championship. We are looking at Sunderland getting a new coach. We're now looking at Hull getting a new coach. Of course, we're likely to see possibly Huddersfield change their manager. Of course, they're not in the Championship. But just this one has come out of the blue, pretty much 48 hours or so, give or take, after the final whistle of their collapse, their playoff push collapse, after they couldn't get a result against Plymouth. 1-0 loss, final day. I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you. I thought all was rosy in regards to his position and the ownership. But of course, it was not a line. I think when you turn the clock back and you look at some of those signings, the Scott Twines, the Carvalhos from Liverpool, they brought some other, the Laps, Connolly's. One of those may be a permanent. They did spend a hefty chunk of change on this one. And where do they go from here? I know the fans, they love the owner. He's put a lot of money in this project. And I thought Liam Rosenior was the man to get them forward. But it looked like he may have warranted another go at it next season. But where did they go from here? Of course, this is not their first manager there. They did bring in, I think, Shota Avaladze was their first attempt under the new ownership. That was a disaster. I don't think this is an actual disaster. But I think when you look at the financial money they put behind this project, I think playoffs was the minimum. I wouldn't necessarily say promotion, but playoffs probably was the minimum. And then when you do look at the teams that did make the playoffs, the Norwiches and the West Broms, there was a window there for Hull to make it. Even at the start of the season, I didn't put Hull in that bracket of a playoff contender. They did spend a bit of money. They did go for it, but. And I thought they might just sneak in there. You know, it looked possible, but I didn't see the game against Plymouth. I don't know how much they wanted it, or if Plymouth just wanted survival more than Hull. And I think even on the day, I don't think a win would have got Fulham Hull over the line. But you got to look at the football they're playing. They were playing some good football. They took a game to Ipswich. They of course beat us. I think at least once, if not twice, this season. So I've seen this whole side was a tricky side to beat. And was this their one and only opportunity to get in the playoffs? Will they come back again next season with the same sort of a financial push towards this? Of course, I think they sold Lewis Potter at the start of the season. Or they sold a youngster for a good bit of money, and it looks like that money not necessarily was reinvested in long-term players, but was definitely reinvested in loanees, and those loanees, of course, were good and exciting and added a bit of spice to this whole, but of course, it didn't get them over the line. So Liam Rosenior, out on his ear, of course, could he now? What will happen to him in the future? Will he get, when will he get his next opportunity? Of course, formerly Derby manager, he was under the wings of Wayne Rooney, and of course a very decent coach. Of course, if we could do a draft of managers or coaches from the best to the worst, and of course we all had, each club had no manager. As a Blackburn Rovers fan, would I want Liam Rosenior in charge of Blackburn Rovers? I would. I think I would. 39 years of age. I think he would definitely be towards the top end of that draft, and of course not necessarily towards the bottom. So the likes of a Sunderland, perhaps even if Huddersfield were to change their manager, or perhaps some other clubs later on in the manager merry-go-round this season, because we're probably likely to see some other movements. Of course, Premier League clubs will likely change managers, maybe even take some of those the McKennas or the Carricks of the world. So I don't think we've seen the end of Liam Rosenior. No way, that would be an absolute insult. He's only 39 years of age. I've got turds older than that guy. He's a young whippersnapper still. He could still play, technically, 39 years of age. So I think we will see him back soon. Will we see him back in the Championship next season? We've seen that from managers who did okay in the Championship, but then have to take a League One or a League Two position. We saw Nathan Jones go from Luton Town. He went to Southampton, didn't work, go back to Luton Town. And then eventually, now he's back in League One with Charlton. We've also seen other managers. Darren Moore, of course, former Championship manager, now in League Two with Port Vale. So will Liam Rosenior get the chance to rebuild his reputation? I'd like to think so. But it's a shocker. It's a shocker. He had actually a contract to 2026. It looked promising for him. But of course, now he's on the managerial scrap heap with a lot of other faces, the hecking bottoms of the world. Of course, I don't even know what's going on with Birmingham right now. Mowbray, what is he going to be there to pull the strings? Of course, he could do a fantastic job, Liam Rosenior, at a Birmingham. Of course, I'm not saying that he's going to get the opportunity, because realistically, they got Mowbray in post. But it's a shocker. It's coming out of the Championship. It is breaking news, and we'll see where Hull go from here. In the next coming weeks or so, they're going to take this off season and go again. And it looks like they want more than 7th. Next season, I think they want playoffs or more than that. So will they get the opportunity? Will they have the funds to do what they did this season by bringing in creative players? We'll find out, of course, very, very soon. But until then, we are done.